Trail cams have the best job, day and night, face to face with giants. But most hunters make one critical mistake. They pull their cameras after season, stuff them in a bag, and they miss half the show. They're not just losing photos, they're losing patterns, insights, and eventually opportunity. Because what happens from February to September could give you the intel that you need to kill your target buck come November. Today, we're breaking down 10 key events your trail cameras can catch throughout the year. Let's get into it. I love running trail cameras. It's one of my favorite things to do. Leaving cameras out there to be able to watch what's going on when I'm not there throughout the entire year is just a blast to me. And I believe one of the biggest mistakes guys make is they pull their trail cameras off of their land after hunting season. We can start anywhere with this list, but I'm gonna start at what I consider the very beginning. Number 1, antler drop. We could have started anywhere, like I said, but to me, this kicks off the most important, most crucial time of the year for your deer herd. Antler drop marks day 1 of the growing season. As soon as bucks drop their old antlers, those wounds begin to scab over and they begin pushing out new antlers for the coming year. In most cases, when a buck drops his old antlers, you're going to begin to see visible new growth within 2 to 3 weeks, which is incredible. Your deer as a whole are going to be in their most vulnerable state of the entire year. They're going to be at their weakest point. They've come out of the rut. They've come out of winter, or they're at the end of winter, and they are very unhealthy. They need extra nutrition to be able to recover. A buck drops his antlers because of the sharp testosterone drop that happens after the rut, after they stop chasing does and breeding does. This is a critical time for you as a hunter to be getting quality nutrition to your herd so they can recover. The faster they can recover their body, the more excess nutrition will be allowed to go towards bucks' antlers and does flipping on and off epigenetic switches in their fawns. Bucks will lose 20 to 30% of their body weight during the rut. So at this point, your bucks are going to be upwards of 30% lighter in body weight than they were, let's say, August or September. Getting high protein feed, getting high fat feed, which is high energy feed really, and getting mineral-rich sites out on your property can make a big difference in helping your deer recover when they're at their weakest state to be able to produce when you're actually out there hunting them. Number 2, pregnant does showing. So for me, it's probably gonna be later than you guys, but pregnant does on my property will be pregnant all the way till September. For many of y'all, your fawns are gonna drop in May. So I'm gonna try and avoid dates. But if you've ever been running a camera when you see your does start to blow up, I mean, you look from a front view and they just look this wide, that's an encouraging sign that the future of your property is being formed right now. The deer that you'll be chasing 4, 5, 6 years from now is being formed at this very moment. Nutrition during this window will affect whether does are activating or suppressing epigenetic switches in your fawns. It will also affect your bucks and how quickly they begin jump-starting antler growth to be able to maximize their genetic expression this year. Alongside those epigenetic switches, nutrition during this window will also affect milk production in your does. It's critical to get quality milk to your fawns the first 2 to 3 weeks of their life. And the best way for you to make a difference during this window for your does and for that milk production is to get them quality nutrition as quickly as you can and as often as you can. A malnourished doe during this window will suppress genetic switches, so it prioritizes survival in your fawns over excess antler growth. What a doe eats today will shape the bucks that you hunt tomorrow. Number 3, velvet antlers appear. Now this is where it gets very exciting and where there is a window there, a short window where you don't see any antler growth whatsoever. They've dropped antlers and you're waiting on that little fuzzy, new fuzzies to start growing. And you're waiting on those fuzzy nubs to start growing. This window is so exciting. Like, I just get pumped when I start to see new antler growth. What this also signifies though is bucks are burning huge amounts of energy. So getting some sort of high energy, which would be high fat feed to them, if they don't have quality access to that just naturally available, is the role you play in helping your deer. But man, bucks are growing antlers. Like, we are on our way to seeing and identifying the target bucks that we're going to chase in the year to come. Your bucks are going to grow upwards of 1 inch of antler per day, which is insane to think about how fast a buck's antlers grow during the growing season. In the beginning stages, especially if you're checking your camera every week or every couple weeks, it'll look like there's very slow growth happening. Once we move into that rapid growth period, when we move more into the early summer, I would say for most of us, man, antlers just start jumping out of their heads. Number 4, fawns dropping. So this is an indication that your fawns have come to full term. You're hoping that you're seeing twins birthed by your does because they're in a healthy state. And this is a huge critical point in their life. These first 2 to 3 weeks, the nutrition level of the milk that they get from their mom will dictate a lot of what you see 4 to 5 years down the road. When you start to see a bunch of fawns hitting the ground, if you're running your cameras, you can backdate and say, this is when peak rut was. You can look at the calendar and go, this is when the majority of my fawns were born, so this is when the majority of my does were bred. We tell people the first 2 to 3 weeks are critical for fawns' future development. Really, it's the first 17 days. Getting quality nutrition to your does before that window happens is massive in determining what the bucks are going to look like years down the road. Number 5, final stage velvet. Man, this is where the magic happens. Most of us have trail cameras out by this point because we want to see the bucks that we're going to be chasing in the coming season. Antler growth is finishing off, blood flow is slowing, and your deer are going to transition into their fall patterns of movement. To me, the importance of running trail cameras during this window is because this is going to be your best and last real chance to look at bucks side by side. If you're running trail cameras and you have feed out in a feeder, you can get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bucks all around the feeder at one time, and you can begin to look and say, this is a mature buck, this is one that maybe we want to give a year, these need some time. This window allows you to look at them side by side, which gives you kind of a cheat sheet on what you should be chasing after and what you need to let grow. If you're anything like me, you build a hit list. So at this point, when they're in that final stage velvet, I'm building out the list of, these are the bucks that I want to chase this year. This is what he looks like. This is where he's at. This is where it kind of feels like he's moving and where he's hanging around, who he might be with, what younger bucks might I see walk into the food plot before him. And this is the time when I want to have that hit list done. Number 6, velvet shedding. Bucks are beginning to make more sign, especially rub, because they're shedding their velvet. You're going to start to see more active rub lines around all of your fields more than likely. And this is a critical time for you to look at your bucks and go, this is how old I think this buck is. The more bucks you can identify during this portion of the calendar, the better you'll be set up to identify bucks during the rut. So during the rut, they're losing weight rapidly, and the further you get into the rut, the harder it is to actually accurately age an animal. In some instances, they all start to look the exact same. Your 3, 4, 5, 6-year-olds begin to look the same because they've lost weight. They have a certain skeletal structure that is very similar, but their body weights begin to really throw you off. So I would use this portion of the calendar to lock in your final ages, like go through and go, this is what I feel like a mature buck is. These are a bunch of them that I don't feel like are. And then it'll set you better up later on in the year to be able to quickly identify who that buck is. Number 7, bachelor groups break up. Bucks start to get much more territorial. You're going to start to see more active scrapes. You're going to see some fighting, and it's going to be a time where they expand their range to where they're closer to their range that they'll actually be working during the rut. Number 8, pre-rut behavior. During this portion of the calendar, you're going to see a lot of bumping does. You're going to see some bucks testing each other during this phase. You'll start to see fighting more prevalent depending on how many bucks you have on your property. If you watch a lot of hunting content online, you'll hear people talk about bucks going on excursions. And if you have a larger piece of property, you may even see excursions from bucks within your property. Maybe a buck that lives in the north end of your property travels to the south during this window. For me, I see those excursions from one end of the property to the other end of my property, and there's no telling how far off the property they go. This is where I would encourage you to shift your cameras from feeders to scrapes. You're gonna get much better intel on the deer that you're actually chasing if you have it on scrapes, because he's gonna be actively working that during this portion of the calendar. And I would just encourage you, don't panic during this window. Unless you have 10,000 acres, your bucks are gonna leave. You can't hold them on your property alone. So don't panic, stay the course, work the plan that you have in place, and just know that if you're doing the things that encourage bucks to come into and live on your property, that they will be back, but they may go off a long way, bumping does, early chasing, pre-rut behavior. Just stay the course. Number 9, peak rut. Most of us have harvested deer during this window that, number 1, we had identified and we finally got the chance because a hot doe ran by and there he was, or number 2, that we had never seen before, which makes this window so exciting. Peak rut, you just never know what's gonna happen. You get the right doe that walks out in front of you, and I mean, anticipation just becomes palpable because you know anything could be behind that doe. And it only takes a few seconds for a very uneventful hunt to become one of the stories you'll tell for the rest of your life. What you can also see during peak rut is lockdown, which maybe means you cannot see that during peak rut, but moving your cameras closer to bedding, closer to where they may be locked up with does, hanging out with them, waiting till they become hot, till they become ready, can be a move that you make to try and get better intel on where exactly that buck is laying his head at night. I would encourage you that during this window, all the work that you've done previously pays off at this point. Luck is a residue of design. So whatever you've done to this point to hold the does on your property, to make it a paradise for bucks, it should pay off on this window, because when bucks start chasing does, you want them to be on your property and you want them to be running past you and not the neighbor. Number 10, late rut seekers. This is a great opportunity for, if does weren't bred in that first cycle, for some of you, depending on where you hunt, maybe they weren't bred in that second cycle, but they cycle back in and you're starting to see bucks range further and further to get to that one last hot doe. Studies have proven that bucks will travel 5 times further to reach that last receptive doe. So you're gonna start to see bucks you've never seen before. You're gonna start to see bucks that you haven't seen in a while. Maybe you thought they were dead, but during this window, it can be a huge opportunity for you to set yourself up for holding these bucks. Like, they range into your property. What do you have that they can't find anywhere else? What kind of limited resources have you offered them on your property that they can't find anywhere else? And when they get to your property, they're like, man, I don't want to be anywhere else. I'm staying here. Late rut seekers can be a huge opportunity for you to not only kill an animal you've never met, but to hold an animal you've never met that you may want to hunt in the future. The more you understand the behavior of the deer on your property, the more success you will find during the hunting season. So understanding what's happening on your property at any point on the calendar can help you map out what's going to happen in the future when you're actually in the woods. There are thousands of things that your trail cameras can capture, thousands of moments that they can capture that may give you intel. These are just 10 that we chose. You can use the intel you gain from these 10 events to map out the entire year, which might help you in pursuit of your target buck. Running cameras year-round can help you turn something that seems like luck or happenstance into a strategy you use to harvest a buck. Last season's trail cam photos can help you solve this season's puzzle. In a way, you should be looking through photos from last year to help you plan your next move in the woods. Like I said in the beginning, trail cams literally have the best job, and the way that you use them throughout the year could help you find more success. We have a bunch of great information we want to share with you, and the best way for us to get that to you is if you'll join the club. Click the link in the description and join the club today. If you're enjoying videos like this, go ahead and click this one.